After a month-long break, the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship returns to Detroit's Belle Isle, where the track is as difficult as the setting is delightful. It's time to race in the Motor City. Detroit. For real car people, that one word speaks volumes. Birthplace of the automobile, and a city that truly represents hardworking, blue-collar America. The Belle Isle Racecourse mirrors this great city's grit and toughness and demands the same to tame it. And like the city itself, it too is experiencing a renaissance. The WeatherTech SportsCar Championship comes to this island battleground after an exciting opening third of the season, with rising stars like Dane Cameron leading the prototype points battle and Christina Nielsen topping GT Daytona, and two teams are dead even atop prototype challenge. We are in the midst of an amazing time of the year for race fans, and smack in the middle is one that matters immensely to America's manufacturers in the Motor City itself, and it's live on FS1 next. It's truly a très belle setting here at Belle Isle, the beautiful island. Welcome to the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic presented by Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers. Hi everyone, I'm Greg Kramer, delighted to have all of you with us and to have Calvin Fish alongside. Cal, we've alluded to this stretch of May through June racing glory with the Indy 500, this Detroit Grand Prix, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Watkins Glen 6 hours. But for some of our teams today, this race is critical for a variety of reasons.
Well, this is the Motor City, Greg. It's one of the most important and prestigious races in the WeatherTech Championship. In the prototype class, there is now enormous pressure on the Chevy drivers to win, with the GM top brass in attendance and their headquarters, the Renaissance Center, as we know, the backdrop. And if you ever needed more incentive than that, well, if you look at their competition, Mazda has shown tremendous speed of late, and Honda have won 3 of the first 4 races. And from here, we then head to tracks like Watkins Glen, CTMP, and Road America, where those guys will be tough to beat. GM needs the win today. It is huge.
And folks, to put this into even greater perspective, let's take a look at the current prototype points. Cal mentioned the manufacturer battle that Honda leads with those wins, but the driver points back up how important today could be.
Well, it's dominated by Chevy with 7 of their drivers at the top, separated by a mere 6 points, Greg. And again, today may be their best opportunity to get those maximum points. Every one of those guys is focused on victory, nothing else.
Prototype Challenge, or PC, is also running here today, and the current points show that this spec category is as close as you could imagine. But Cal, the top of the leaderboard has some surprises.
Oh, it really does, Greg. Great to see the number 85, one of the smaller teams, JDC Motorsports, tied for the lead, but big drama in this morning's warm-up. They're scrambling to make the grid, and defending champs Colin Brown and John Bennett, early season problems see them a full race win, 35 points out of the lead. That is a big hole to climb out of.
Yeah, huge. Now, time to get some updates on what's developing in the prototype class, so let's get down to the grid and check in with our Brian Till.
Just finishing up the national anthem here at Detroit. Festivities about to get underway. You guys talk about the prototype division. It has been hot since the Rolex 24. It has not cooled off here in Detroit at all. Let's talk about some stories. The 90, Mark Goossens, Ryan Dalziel, they've struggled in qualifying throughout the year, but this weekend, Mark Goossens was spectacular, a racetrack he's never seen before. He qualifies second. The number 60 from Mike Shank Racing. You're used to seeing Catherine Legg in this paddock. You're not used to seeing her in that car. Delta Wing is not here, so she's filling in for John Pugh as Mike Shank Racing is doing that transatlantic odyssey, trying to win at Le Mans and in the WeatherTech Series all in the same month. And look, the biggest story has got to be from qualifying. Christian Fittipaldi, the fastest qualifier, spins on the final lap of qualifying, manages to keep his Mustang sampling Corvette out of the fence. But what did he do to those Continental tires? They were allowed to change one of them, but what are the other 3 like? We'll find out when we go green here in Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. How long can he nurse those tires for sure? But now let's move to the real manufacturer playground here today, Cal, the GT Daytona class.
Well, so many manufacturers represented in this class, and it's led by Ferrari. Balzan and Christina Nielsen having a great start to their year, including that big win at Sebring. And in second place, defending race winners here, the number 23 Team Seattle Porsche, coming off another huge victory at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in the last round. But it's not been a smooth weekend for either one of those teams. Damage in practice for the Ferrari, broken drive shaft in qualifying for the Porsche. And Justin Bell, those are the curveballs you just have to survive on a street circuit like Detroit.
Not just curveballs, Calvin, it is ups and downs, because welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to perhaps the bumpiest race circuit in North America. But the drivers love it, because it does provide a challenge. I think even though this track is at sea level, probably adds up to hundreds of feet of elevation in those small little increments over the bumps. Now, street circuits, you either love them, you hate them, they love you, or they don't. But if the driver gets the car just right, the team gets the car just right, and the driver gets his act together, it is magic. And for Brian Sellers, in the 48 there, he got pole position in an outstanding lap. As Brian just said to me, he said to get pole here on a street circuit like Belle Isle, you have to push yourself and the car well over what would be considered normal operating levels for any driver or car. And he did it. Special mention to Patrick Lindsay right there in the 73 Porsche. He is the gentleman in his pairing, up against Brian as the pro, and he put it on the front row. All the action here, the cars are pulling out. I'm excited. I think you are too.
Absolutely they are, of course, as this track and this state park morphs into a very fast, bumpy, and hugely demanding circuit. And that brings out the fans from Detroit and Windsor in droves. And we'll be back to take you to the green flag next. Detroit, it's a music city with the Motown magic. It's also a legendary sports city as well. But today, it is truly the Motor City. And we are excited about it. Welcome back, everybody. Plenty of time to get from our previous race out on the California coast to Detroit's Belle Isle, Cal, but take us through now the Ford track map.
Well, it's 2.3 miles in length with 14 very demanding corners. There are no giveaways here, some really fast corners for a street circuit. Key overtaken areas into turn 3 and into turn 7, but that's where some of the biggest bumps are, and there are plenty around this circuit. Top speed approaches about 160 miles per hour. The prototype's down towards turn 3, about 38 gear changes per lap. And why is that significant? Well, over the course of the race here, even though it's only 100 minutes, that's about 2,300 gear shifts. And remember, Greg, with the bumps here, most of those are done while the wheels are in the air.
Reliability. WeatherTech weather update. Great right now. However, there is some rain coming. It depends on which app you're looking at to know where and when, but it's on its way from what we understand. Now let's take a look at it. Across the top of the screen, we'll have our Continental Tire starting grid. As always, a team or a driver you're following, you can find where they're starting right there. And Cal, we're about to complete our second pace lap. Let's quickly take a look at our WeatherTech keys to victory. It starts with concrete decisions.
Well, hopefully you've made the right choice on setup to survive the bumps, and if you attempt to pass, be decisive, otherwise you could end up in that wall. Best foot forward. Some of the GTD teams have qualified and have to start their faster driver. Will that backfire on them here today?
Oh boy, and there's a look at the regulations in terms of drive time. Crucial for Prototype Challenge and GTD. But here we go. Field now forming up, coming out of that very tricky 12-13 complex into the kink that is 14 in the final corner. And we are green, and a beautifully timed jump. Once again, Cal, you see Ricky Taylor getting ultra aggressive in the early going down into turn 1. Cameron and the wheel and cart not able to follow through, but Taylor doing it again.
Wow, there was some paint rub there between Gooses and Ricky Taylor. Ricky Taylor's been so decisive. We saw it at Long Beach in the opening laps. We saw it again at Laguna Seca. Look at the Mazda right in the mix, side by side with a wheeling Corvette down into the brake zone.
And not quite in the right spot. Curran on board the 31 wheeling car, of course, slots back into that spot. But absolutely right, Tristan Nunez, who was so impressive at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca a month or so back, he manages to make that move.
And we're looking at the leader in the PC class. Great job by Robert Alon, putting that car on the pole, his first career pole. James French in the second position, but the big drama in that class is we do not see one of the championship leading teams, the number 85, on the field right now.
Yeah, they're going to be a late start. We don't know when, but that is huge in terms of their championship aspirations as we watch this field go through. You know, in the morning warm-up, the prototype and PC leaders, they got almost down to pole time, but in GTD here, although it is Sellers leading away, interesting story, Cal. It was Marcus Paltala in their BMW from Turner Motorsport that went 0.3 under the pole time. That car is going to be quick.
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating race in GTD. We talked about it briefly, the fact that some of the teams have elected to start their pro driver. I think the main reason is it gives them more flexibility with their strategy. There's a minimum drive time of 35 minutes for the driver who's not a professional in their car, so these guys really have some windows to work with. But right now, it's Brian Sellers up front being chased by Rob Liddell, the Scotsman in that Audi.
Yeah, Lindsay didn't get the start he wanted, has slipped to third, tucked right up with him right now. A great start by Matt Bell, who was able to move up a spot and get around the Porsche of Spencer Pumpelly, excuse me, the Lamborghini of Spencer Pumpelly,
yeah,
the change racing entry.
Pumpelly looked like he was trying to make a move there down into that first turn. I'm not sure whether he did it or not. There he is. He's still in the backdrop there. He didn't get that move completed. That green Monster Energy Lamborghini Huracan right there as we go through the screenshot.
And running right now right in front of Christina Nielsen, who is the co-points leader with her co-driver, Alessandro Balzan, in that red Scuderia Corsa Ferrari. Back a bit.
Yeah, they haven't had a smooth weekend.
No.
Christina got tipped around, as did his Balzan in the opening practice session. There was damage to the left front fender. It's a bit patched up, to be honest with you. It does not look pristine, but they are the championship leaders. And there's weekends like this, Greg, where you have to go into damage control. No pun intended. You just have to get as many points as you can.
And having a look there, we were briefly on board with that number 33 Viper Exchange Gas Monkey Garage Riley Motorsport Viper. It is some Detroit iron that is showing off in the GT Daytona class, Cal.
Look at the two Alex Job Racing Porsches running side by side there. Cooper McNeil driving the WeatherTech entry, and Mario Farnbacher having broken a drive shaft. The guys who are the defending class champions here at Detroit, right behind his teammate. It's tricky, it's tough to pass around here, particularly when that's your teammate right in front of you. You have to be careful.
Cal, you talked earlier about the issues that the number 63 Scuderia Ferrari had some problems with. Any updates on that, Brian?
Well, I talked to Alessandro Balzan just before the start of the race. He said, look, we just need to remain calm. We've got a good package. One of the things we found is the car settles down as we run and the fuel goes away and we put miles on the tires. Only problem is starts to pick up a little understeer or a little push in the middle of the corners, but that's a lot better than the taillights trying to get to the front end of the car. So they'll take that little bit of push. They think they've got a good Ferrari underneath them.
Yeah, and I mean, you want a balance that's in that direction. You don't want to be hanging on one of these bumps if the rear end is loose coming through some of the entries to these corners. And they've just got to show the poise. Balzan's won a championship before. He knows how to get the job done. And Christina Nielsen just continues to impress, Greg.
Yeah, she really does. She has become a serious rising star in this championship. As we hop on board with some pretty established stars, Ricky Taylor in that number 10, Konica Minolta, Wayne Taylor Racing entry. But I'll tell you what, even though they snuck around Mark Goosens at the start, oh, that number 90 car, he likes that car. They found the problem, at least at this track, Cal, and he's racing.
He really is. The Goose is a lot happier. They've been having some TC traction control issues with the car since the beginning of the championship. And they've had a major understeer condition of balance in the car where the front just pushes on that they haven't really been able to get around. But certainly they made a big improvement. And big surprise, I think, to see the Goose on the front row. But Ricky Taylor, as ever, has shown a lot of aggression in the opening laps this year. And that number 10, Konica Minolta Chevy, has been very strong on the street circuits. One at Long Beach. And they've had a lot of pace here over the years as well.
Fair amount of debris gathering up already in the radiator of that car. That could be something that they may have to be very careful with.
Opened up the entry there. You see the tire barrier sort of like the exiting left side for the drivers as they come through that corner. They've cut that back a little bit, slimmed it down, so there's a bit more exit room there. Really feel they didn't need to carry it as long down the straightaway as it was before last year.
Well, they posed the question early about would Christian Fittipaldi have to nurse those potentially damaged tires. I guess he's answered the question. I'm not a nurse, I'm a race car driver.
He is taken off, and I think it's going to be a fascinating battle because the Action Express cars have really dominated the timesheets all weekend long. Dane Cameron will be co-driving with Eric Cohen, obviously, the championship leaders in the 31. He has been the fast man, so if he can be in the mix, it will really depend on caution right now because Fittipaldi is taking close there again with the Goose.
Boy, he is hanging it out and going for it right now. And part of the problem is in these very fast sections of track, you have those bumps. And Justin, there is elevation change here. It's just very small segments, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a million paper cuts, though, right? And that's what it feels like to these drivers. The bumps are so severe, literally, it'll shake. I mean, Tommy Dreesy talked to me earlier. He's worried about those expensive teeth of his. You know, it's so harsh over the bumps that it's really tough for all the drivers. But let's talk about line, Calvin, and a normal racetrack. Normal racetrack, you get on the perfect racing line, and you know how to work within that. And if you go offline, then, you know, it's still pretty much the same track conditions. Unless it's wet, when you're on a street circuit like this, you're watching the guys. If they're setting up for a move or they do execute a move, suddenly you're on this uncharted part of the track, and the bumps can completely, radically change the way your car will handle. Normally, you're able to get on the power, say onto that back straight where you just talked about the barrier, and you're able to go up against the wall. But if you go down the inside of someone and take a later apex, you're going to have a whole different situation to deal with in terms of what the car's doing. This track is a constantly evolving and moving sort of playing field for every driver out there. It's incredibly tough. So that's why I think you're seeing the drivers giving everyone, including themselves, a little bit of latitude.
Yeah, particularly down into turn 7 where the drivers are heading right now is really bumpy down there. So if you get to that inside, you suddenly hit a bump and you can't slow the car down.
And yeah, I think the exit of one of the turns here, turn 2, is just tricky as well. It's loaded with challenges, so it makes this a special race, and there's a lot more of it to come. Stay with us. A great battle unfolding. The top 5 cars in GT Daytona here at the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic are covered by the proverbial blanket. Then a little bit of a margin back to the next group of cars led by Christina Nielsen in the Ferrari, Ben Keating in the Viper, and the rest of the gang. But Cal, these top 5 trapped a little bit behind Mark Kwame right now, who in the high downforce sections draws away, but boy, they're all over him. And it's really making this an interesting scrap, isn't it?
It is, because you've basically got one of the gentleman drivers driving that number 88 machine right there on screen, and you got these pro guys right behind him, admittedly in a different class, but there's really this overlap, and it's got to be frustrating Brian Sellers. I don't think it's hurting his lap time tremendously, but he's having to really keep his eyes up ahead in terms of what the 88 machine is doing, and he's got that Scotsman all over him in that Stevenson Audi.
And Spencer Pumpelly is all over the back of the team car, the number 9 for Stevenson. In that Audi, the Matt Bell-driven machine, he's poked the nose through a couple of times as well. Interesting and impressive run, though, for Patrick Lindsay, as Justin talked about it, a quote-unquote am in between these 4 pros, doing a heck of a job.
I think that car could be the car to beat here today, because he's got good track position. He's right with the leaders. Jörg Bergmeister has been flying his teammate, the Porsche factory driver from Germany, who will jump into this machine to finish the job off. So if he can hang with the leaders, don't force it right now. Don't take any chances. This position works just fine. But what a turnaround for Stevenson. Opening practice, they were completely off the charts. I think Rob Liddell's actually the slowest guy in the field, and right now he's running in second, so a big rebound, no pun intended, with the setup on that car.
That was good, though.
That was good.
I like that. Yeah, very good. As we're watching this battle up front, it's still Christian Fittipaldi leading Ricky Taylor, and of course, in that second car, the number 10, and his brother Jordan Taylor. And Brian, that young man has had a pretty remarkable 3 of the 4 years here that he's run.
Yeah, you look at this team, you said it, they're going for 3 out of 4 here, and the street races, Jordan, too. You guys looking for 6 of 8, I think, something like that. So impressive. What is it that makes this team so good on street circuits?
I think these races are also sprint races, so it's only 100 minutes, 1 pit stop usually, so you really have to execute everything on the track in the pits strategy. So I think that's a strength of the team, is maximizing when you have potential, and you know, it's all about executing the pit stops and the starts, and Ricky's already picked up 1 spot, and you know, hopefully we'll get a yellow at some point, and we'll be able to jump the next guy in the pits.
Talk about picking up that 1 spot as a very aggressive move. Is that just what you've got to do on a street circuit to get those positions as soon as you can?
Yeah, usually it's tough to pass, and I think now with the GTD cars having ABS and everything, you'll see it being a lot tougher to get through traffic. So I'm sure you'll see some opportunistic moves come the end of the race when guys are trying to make up some time.
Sounds like all the excitement is not over with yet, guys.
Well, he brought up a very important point with the new GTD cars. They're all GT3 machinery with traction control, with the ABS systems. That allows the drivers to just bury the cars deep into the brake zones. So it's very hard to clear that traffic. They've got good mechanical grip also around a circuit like this. For the faster prototype guys, it really makes it very challenging.
Yeah, you often think about the TC as being, well, that's what you want, but that it is the braking.
Oh, someone's in the fence.
Yeah, there's a wing off. That looks like a
GoPro.
Yeah, that's
that is
the 90. We're getting a report.
Had been loose, remember, earlier in the going.
There it is.
There it is. And Eric comes to the inside. He's got to be patient here. Don't force it. Oh, no, right into Eric Curran. Right into Eric Curran. Is there damage to the Wheeling Corvette as well on the left front?
You bet there is.
Oh,
broken.
Man. I'm just thinking from Eric Curran, don't force it. You can see the guy has no rear wing. Don't get too tight to him. That's exactly what happened.
Oh, my.
Unbelievable drama for 2 of the big Chevy teams. We said this event is so important for them.
And those drivers leading the points. Goossens was 3rd. We talked about, how critical this was, Cal, and this is not certainly what they wanted, nor seeing, as Goossens sits there.
And again, one of the most experienced sports car drivers in this field, Mark Goossens, he just went in there with a head of steam. Didn't look like any way that car was going to maintain grip. We're seeing more drama. James French has turned the 38 machine around. What a disaster for GM. 2 of their leading lights taken out. Brian.
Big time damage on the 31, not just the splitter and the bodywork, but I'm looking at the left front suspension. While I can't see the suspension components right now, what I can see is that left front is askew, and that's telling me that there's bent suspension behind it. The right front looks good, but the left is a problem, and this is going to be a long, lengthy fix if it can be fixed.
Wow. Unbelievable development as Goossens awaits the arrival of the IMSA safety team, and here they come. Everybody directing traffic away. And let's see if we can find out what precipitated all of this, Cal.
No, the wing's already gone at this stage. Now he gets down the inside of Brett Curtis, I think, is behind the wheel of the BMW, and he's just got no rear grip. Look at him, he's lost it as soon as he turns in and just ricochets back across the racetrack. Eric had nowhere to go. Wow.
You think he maybe didn't realize that you'd think?
I don't know, that's a possibility. We're not sure where exactly. I think it was like 3 corners before. So whether he just clipped it on a tire bundle and tore it off and wasn't aware that that was not there and he wasn't going to have that rear grip. Brian.
Well, guys, it's not just the suspension that's damaged on the 31. The pickup point is also broken. So while that bolts onto the chassis, they'll have to take that off. So it's not going to be just as easy, and I use that term loosely, as just sticking a new suspension on. They're going to have to take off some pickup points as well. This is going to take a long, long time to get done.
Boy, absolutely a huge development in the early going here at the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic. And a couple of the key players grounded, at least for now. We'll be back. Welcome back once again to the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic here at Belle Isle. And we continue under caution, but we're anticipating going back to green fairly shortly. Cal, the reason was this was called what they referred to as a short caution.
Yeah, and essentially if a yellow occurs within 15 minutes of the start, then we go to this different procedure which just speeds up the process of going back to green. So in terms of strategy, I think if you had poor track position right now, ideally you'd like to at least be topping up with fuel. It's too early to do that switch over. If you started a Pro-Am driver, they've got to do 35 minutes minimum, and right now we're just under 27 minutes into this race. So a bit too soon to get that driver change done if you started your amateur driver in the car.
And the short yellow means the pits are closed anyway, so you really have to just continue. We're getting word green this time, and all eyes obviously on Ricky Taylor as he seems to be able to pull off magic on starts and restarts. But how about this now with that development? The 55 of Nunez, the 70 of Tom Long, the Mazdas that are showing some amazing pace, 3rd and 4th.
And they thought this would be their toughest racetrack, literally, in terms of speed and dealing with the bumps. This is what we call a P2 configured race car. We've got the DPs leading right now, all within the same prototype class, but just where they generated from in terms of the DP era versus the P2 era. So you got the GM cars right there, and then the 2 Mazdas, and they need to run really low to the ground, Greg, to generate the maximum downforce. We saw at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, they are phenomenally quick. They'll be quick when we get to the Watkins Glen track, which is just being repaid. But on these bumps, they have to run the car so high, it hurts their aerodynamics and their ability to grip the racetrack. But when you have problems to a couple of the big teams, they're suddenly sitting there already in a podium position.
And there's Catherine Legg, the number 60 from Mike Shank, sitting in 5th, exactly what she needs to do. She said, I've got to put my race car driver ego aside. I'm here for a specific reason, as we hop on board with Catherine. And they've been impressed with how quickly she's acclimated to this car.
Well, as Mike Shank said, when you parachute someone into this racetrack who's never driven the car before, never driven here before, we certainly gave her a severe challenge, but she's dealt with it in the perfect way. She's such a cool character, really enjoy her company, and she does a great job behind the wheel. And if she can turn this car over to Oz Negri in great shape towards the front of this field, remember Oz and John Pugh coming off a big victory in the last round of the WeatherTech Championship.
And they've shown pretty good pace on these street circuits, better than they had last year. Mike Shank even said as much, that we figured things out a little bit, so we're better. But these DPs, obviously, the Corvette DP is still mighty strong. And the pace car has opened up a bit of a margin. Christian laying back just a little bit to get some room. And we are going to be going back to green as we are approaching probably about 29 minutes in when the green flag flies, and Christian hasn't waited. He's rolled into the throttle, and we are going back to racing here, and Ricky Taylor not close enough to be able to do anything, but it's Nunez. No.
Well, you've got to wait. I mean, Christian Fittipaldi as the leader, he obviously has the ability to hit the gas pedal first. Ricky Taylor then has to react to that. Then he's going to get a little bit of that aero wash through those high-speed corners, so he wasn't able to tell. Oh, is that it's our pole-sitting car, Brian Sellers. He's in trouble. Did he get turned?
Well, he's certainly now down 3, 4, 5 spots fighting with Christina Nielsen to hang on, and Keating wants a look in the Viper.
Here's the 23 car, the defending class champions here, right in the middle of a sandwich. It's going to be tight. Wow, how did they get through there?
Boy, Keating was able to hang on, but Farnbacher around the outside.
Have to think that Rob Liddell must have made a move on Brian Sellers on that restart, maybe down into turn 1. Forced him wide, and this cost him numerous positions.
Absolutely, so that would put it's Liddell, Lindsay, Pompelli.
Don't see any damage to the Paul Miller Racing Audi, the 48 car right there. That's our pole sitter.
Here's a look at it, Cal.
Watch this. Oh, Brian just has a moment there on relatively cold tires. Almost gets into the fence. A good save, but you can see the rest of the field are just streaming by. Hits one of those bumps there. That is a big moment. When you can see it that big from outside of the car, inside the car, it is arms and elbows.
Boy, and Liddell did a tremendous job not to get into the back of Sellers because he slowed up suddenly.
Yeah, I was expecting to see a picture of someone giving him a nudge, but he just lost it momentarily.
As we're watching Christina Nielsen right now, running now up in the 5th spot, hanging on in front of Mr. Farnbacher in that race defending Porsche from Alex Job Racing and Team Seattle. Boy, is he being very aggressive. And look at this. Big move here. The 38 trying to come back up through the field. Lays a pass on Tommy Dreese. Let's check in with Justin.
Well, just so you know, Brian Sellers reported the team he did feel Robin Liddell had touched him up the back at the restart there, and they think they might have a little bit of wheel damage, but they were ready to have him come in. But that's one driver reporting what he felt. But saying that, Liddell just got out of the car. The number 6 Audi just came in and did their pit stop driver change.
Well, what you're seeing here is that strategy play out where they can pit before the 35-minute mark. And now their silver rated, their amateur or gentleman driver, however you'd like to describe them, is now behind the wheel. And that's just the ploy that they had with the strategy by qualifying and starting their faster driver. Patrick Lindsay, for example, has to wait till that 35-minute mark to come in and switch over to Jörg Bergmeister.
Having a look here, Spencer Pompelli. And interesting developments here for a couple of the people that were running right up near the sharp end of things in the early going. And they have dropped well off here. Matt Bell struggling in one of the Stevenson cars has dropped back, and Spencer Pompelli as well. As we look at that battle up at the front, the 55 Speed Source Mazda prototype in the hands of Tristan Nunez, who had that just scintillating pole.
See, they're on board with the number 6. We're seeing that Get Well Brad. It's Brad Kettler. He's on site here this weekend. He's the head of Audi Customer Sport. Just a great guy. He's been responsible for so many Le Mans wins in the prototype class with Audi. He runs all of the customer service for these teams in the GTD category. And he had a big road car accident a few weeks ago. Had the airbag come explode and forced his fist actually into his chest and split his chest. So it was a big accident. Great to see Brad up and around and back at the racetrack.
Boy, isn't it? And just a huge help, especially at Le Mans when we were doing the pits over there. He was just an absolute fountain of information for us. And we hope you get well in a big hurry, Brad.
It's a great battle here. Alex Popov loves this race circuit. His teammate Renger van der Zande won here last year with Mirko Schulteis, and he is pumped up and ready to go. I had a great chat with him here this weekend. Really nice young man, the Dutchman. And he says Alex is doing a great job. He likes this track, but for Popov, he's not racing as much as he once was 2 or 3 years ago, Greg. And he says, take me a little bit of time each weekend to get back up to speed. He said, there's nothing like seat time. He said, right now, even though I'm doing the full championship here, I was doing a lot of other racing before, and it really shows.
Well, and a few years ago here, he actually qualified 3rd in DP, led at the point he pulled it into the pit. So he's always gone very quickly here. And Patrick Lindsay, impressive story, just always goes quickly, period, in that park place, number 73. And he's been able to open up a pretty sizable lead, and he now has caught once again Mark Kwame. And we'll have to see what unfolds here. You look behind him, there's Christina Nielsen sitting in second. Mario Fonbacher up into third.
Getting close to that 35-minute mark, the minimum drive time for these drivers in GTD. And the key is that 35-minute mark is when you enter pit lane. It's going to be very close for Patrick Lindsay on whether he can do it this next lap or has to wait one more lap if he chooses to do so. The longer you can wait, you can have a bit more fuel as well, Greg. So if you can wait a few more laps, then you're going to have a bit more fuel, because it's very tight to do it 65 minutes to the finish on fuel. Those guys are already pitted. They're going to be in fuel save mode unless we get some caution.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. With the pace that he is showing right now, talking about Lindsay, I'm not sure they'd want to bring him in right now. He's got that nice margin. Just run him and play into the strategy you're talking about as we hop on board with the car that currently sits right now fourth in this class. That's the number 33 Dodge Viper, locally built. The Conner Avenue assembly plant is where these cars were put together.
Look at the clock. We're just under that mark. So any of these GTD drivers who haven't pitted yet can pit. Even if you're the amateur driver, do your pit stop, and you will not run afoul of the rule. Here we go. You can see them. This is their first opportunity. Yep. Christina Nielsen is in, the championship leader. Here comes the defending race class champions with them as well.
Now it is execute to perfection. Sellers coming in, our pole sitter on top of it. One bobble here can have a huge effect on where you end up. And watching it all is Justin Bell.
Well, this was the pit stop that Brian Sellers was absolutely spot on in coming in the pit lane on that time, as you said. Madison Snow is now getting into the car. This car, the Lamborghini, looks glorious out here. Perfectly, doesn't look like it's been touched anywhere. That is the way to run a street race. Brian is closing the door. Madison is now going to pull out of the pit lane. Brian, he's going to head down towards you.
The race is on pit road, and right now the 23 has leapfrogged the 63 down here on this end. Looks like the driver change took a little bit longer as Christina Nielsen was climbing out that Ferrari. And then Alex Job Racing, that Heart of Racing 23, their driver change was absolutely perfect. They were down and away. Great job.
Well, the key is when you're not out of fuel, it really puts the emphasis on that tire change and the driver change, because you're not typically waiting on fuel, or you are typically waiting on fuel. When you've only done 35 minutes of running, it's basically 2/3 of a fuel load going in.
Talking about the strategy and the options of using the Pro, we were talking about you would stay out longer with the Pro and wait for that caution. Sellers opted to come in as our leader is coming in. We'll get back to that story in just a minute, but this is big as Patrick Lindsay comes in and is going to be turning over to no less than a factory Porsche driver and a very experienced one, Jörg Bergmeister. Oh, problem there.
Yeah, look at this. He didn't get on top of the hood before the jacks were let go, and this is a little bit of a delay. Again, there's not a ton of fuel going in here right now, so it shouldn't hurt him too bad. JB?
Well, yeah, you saw that little fluffle there as he went onto the front. It's so unusual. If you wouldn't do that when you're road-going Porsche, would you? The paintwork's far too valuable. But just as you notice, often driver pairings work because of like genetics, if you want. And these two drivers so tall as Bergmeister pulls out. That was a very clean stop. They recovered from the little snaffle at the beginning. But, you know, very important, isn't it, Cal, to have two drivers of equal heights? And these two certainly are giants. Brian?
22 and 44 are in down on this end of pit road. And another race off pit road. 22 is out very quickly. Andy Lally taking over the 44, and these guys are going to be in a little better fuel position, as Captain was talking about towards the end of the race, but now a hesitation for the 44, and he's jumped by the 97 Turner Motorsports BMW.
And Cal, we also saw a great stop by the Riley team.
Yeah, that Viper jumps ahead of the Park Place Porsche there on that pit stop exchange. Here's a little bit of a moment possibly for Alex Riberas. Yes, that's on cold tires. One of the fastest drivers in the class this year, coming off that victory at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. That is definitely a driver error there, not recognizing the grip and going for it a little bit too early.
Well, now the question is, he's going to be really looking to feel that car out. We'll be on the radio with the team. And Jörg Bergmeister now chasing Jerome Bleekenmolen. It's about to get real in GT Daytona. Stay with us. Welcome back to Belle Isle and the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic, a gorgeous paddock full of high-performance machinery in a tremendous setting. This is a good one, no question about it, but we have had some certainly interesting developments here as this race has unfolded. The early contact between two players, and then the restart for GT Daytona. But first, there's the number 85. It had just come out. Remember, they had that big incident, and we're undergoing, they were really switching cars, Cal, from what we understand.
Essentially, we understand, borrowed a car from Barr. This is from the warm-up this morning. 70 car loses it, and right behind him, the 85 is involved. And that necessitated a chassis change on the 85. They were the championship leaders coming into this weekend. They've done a chassis change, borrowed it from the Barr team. And now this is the first lap out on the racetrack. To get points here today, the silver driver has to do 35 minutes and the other guy has to do just one lap. But right now there is drama. What a fight to get this car back out there. Hopefully it's rewarded, but right now the car is not running.
Meanwhile, the restart after the last caution in GTD, you saw that wiggle. Sellers said he thought maybe he got touched. Here's the onboard.
Well, it was close there, but he's already loose on the bumps there, and I think when he was trying to control it, Rob Liddell got really close to him, but I still don't think there was a touch.
But let's find out from Brian Sellers himself. Justin?
Well, Brian, we were just looking at some great in-car shots of basically the restart, and for us, it looked like you had a wiggle. One of your team guys said to me that you, from inside the car, you thought you might have been touched. We don't think you did, but it was certainly enough. Whatever happened set you back.
I originally thought I had a puncture or something from the debris. As soon as I hit the brakes into turn one, it snapped sideways. My first instinct didn't go to a hit, but they were telling me then maybe they thought that we had got tapped from behind. And either way, it doesn't really matter. It cost us the race at the moment. It's hard to pass here. We lost a lot of positions and we had a strong car, so it's pretty disheartening, after a good opening.
A very good opening from pole, strong stint, gave you track position. Anyway, all you can do now is get back up there and watch your teammate push as hard as you can. But as you say, very hard to overtake here on this very demanding track.
Thanks.
There's really no strategy play. Great to see the 85 car mobile again, and hopefully that car will run till the end and see the checkered flag and they can score some points here.
And he's just lapping around trying to get to the field. We are under our second caution. So while we are watching the cars under the full course yellow, we're going to step away for just a moment. Hopefully come back to some green flag racing shortly here at the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic.
Well, it's summer. Time for that famous American institution, the road trip. Now, Continental Tires don't want a little lack of preparation to ruin your trip. After all, the screaming kids and the nasty chewing gum on the seats will do that for you. Instead, they have come up with parts, which goes like this. P, of course, for pressure. Remember to check your tire pressures at least once a month, including the spare. That's a lot of tires. A is for alignments. Now, you know you hit some rather nasty potholes this winter. Misaligned wheels can cause uneven and rapid tire wear. So be honest with yourself. Get it checked out. R for rotation. Now, rotating your car's tires every 5,000 to 8,000 miles will help provide a more uniform wear. And T is for tread. Tread. Tread depth is important because it reduces your chance of hydroplaning and skidding. Advanced tire wear significantly reduces your tire's ability to grip in all weather conditions. So remember, P-A-R-T, part before you depart. You like that? That was good, right?
Continental Tires, for what you do. Tire Safety Week coming to a close, and a great period on it by one Jay Bell. Nicely done, sir. The Chevrolet Sports Car Classic, we're back. Prototypes have already been in and done some stops. The pit's now open for GT machinery, and we'll see just exactly how that plays out, Cal.
Well, certainly the teams played their part there in terms of the tire change. So it's perfect timing for the prototypes. They can go like 50 to 55 minutes, so they're right in their fuel window to get to the checkered flag. So all of that strategy should have played out. And certainly the GTD teams, we've seen a bunch of them already pit here today under green. Just for this reason, because the pit lane closes, you lose any track advantage that you've got. So this is going to be an ultimate shootout right now. You've got two of the best in the business. Jerome Bleekemolen. And let's not forget, we're in the Motor City. Can that Viper hang on for a victory here today? That would be huge. And then you've got two really fast Porsches right behind him. Riberas, it looks like he may have survived that brush with the wall in the number 23 machine. Team Seattle Porsche. Balzana's got a fast Ferrari. You got Andrew Davis there in the Stevenson Audi. That showed tremendous pace with Rob Riddell leading early.
And Corey Lewis would be the first of that group that would be considered, you know, an amateur driver, but he has tremendous pace in those Lamborghinis. And before we go back to green, let's check in with Justin and Catherine Legg.
Well, Catherine, you just said to me that was loose, really. A loose prototype here in a new track for you, new car for you. That's just the way to have your debut.
Yeah, absolutely. That was tough. I mean, she was bottoming, which was causing the looseness on full tanks. You know, we had all the yellow flags in warm-up, so we didn't really get to run full tanks. So, yeah, that was a challenge. But
Right up.
just super happy to be here with Honda at HBD and Mike Shank, and everybody just really grateful for the opportunity, and hopefully we'll get a good result.
Of course, before we started the race, we were talking about the fact that you know, it's very difficult for you. You said you've got to do the job, but you can't make mistakes, but you also can't go too slow. That's a really tough position to find yourself in.
Yeah, I think if it had just been a new track or just a new car, it would have been a lot easier. But to have both and to have it as such a tough place as well. I mean, this place is hella bumpy. I mean, it's crazy. So I think we've done a good job. The team have just been fantastic. Oz has been fantastic as a teammate. Yeah, can't complain.
Oh, perfect. Well, down the other end, a man that knows every bump and twist and turn, Brian, how's he feeling?
Well, it's obviously hot in one of these cars, but when you come in the lead, it makes you feel a little bit better. You know, we talked about the spin in qualifying yesterday. How were the other three Continental tires that were on the car from the drop of the green?
Well, Continental Tires today did an awesome job. Like, I can't thank them enough. They were hanging in there, believe it or not. Like, we managed to change one tire. We put a brand new one, which is the rule. And then the other two tires, we just had to baby the car. The car was fine going to the right-hand corners, but to the left, like, it was a handful. And I had to really, really take it easy. But we'll see. Part of the battle is gone, and I think that was the hardest one for us. And now, João, I'm pretty sure that he's going to do an awesome job out there, and let's see what we can take out of this race.
A few more GTD cars than there were last year. Is the traffic worse?
Yes and no. Like, because of the yellow in the middle, we really didn't get to run into that rhythm of traffic yet. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be worse if the race was at a normal pace.
It's going to be a battle to the checkered flag, but for Christian Fittipaldi and João Barbosa, it could be a huge point today.
Oh boy, couldn't it? That grin said it all. As we go back to green, and the first cars on the track, it's part of the way that the caution works out and who they pick up, and they picked up the GTD leaders, so we get to enjoy this battle with Messrs. Bleekemolen and Bergmeister and Riberas. Oh boy, it's going to be a scrap, and coming up through, here comes Mr. Taylor, and he has snuck around.
He has gotten around João Barbosa, who's now behind the wheel of that Mustang sampling Corvette. So Jordan Taylor taking advantage in traffic. The PC leaders are right in the mix of this as well.
Yeah, they are, and there you can see a great job as Colin Brown and Tom Kimber-Smith. Boy, they're going to renew that battle. Colin doing a superb job, hanging right where he is right now. And boy, this is going to be fascinating up through the GTD traffic. Christian alluded to it, and they're in that rhythm right now. It didn't take long just because of how this restart unfolded.
Got to be so careful, everyone on relatively cold Continental tires. And when you hit these bumps, you get down the inside. Jordan Taylor, they're all over the curbs on the WeatherTech Porsche. That was wild.
Boy, and Keane gave him room, but it almost got Keane into the tires. Nice job by...
Look how hard Jordan Taylor is pushing right in front of him there.
Car dancing everywhere.
Jordan came into this weekend a day late. He got some food poisoning down in Florida on Thursday, so took a later flight out. But he said he felt 100% yesterday morning before practice. Left to wait and see if this race runs green the rest of the way, how he's feeling at the end.
Boy, he has had a rough year in terms of things medical, hasn't he?
Look at Barbosa struggling with the traffic. Look at the gap after just one lap after this restart between the two leaders.
Yeah, Jordan just dropped the hammer. I mean, that margin is already up to almost 3 seconds, Cal.
Incredible.
And Bomarito now on board the 55. You can see him trying to figure out a way to quickly get by that WeatherTech Porsche. And as Cal alluded to, you get on that ABS, you just go so deep to the apex. It's tough.
So hard to clear the traffic. Is that a move for position? I think it was.
I think so. Van de
Zande around Tom Kimber-Smith.
Absolutely.
That was for the second position.
This place.
And he loves this class. He said there's some really quality drivers in the field. He pointed to Tom Kimber-Smith and said he's maybe one of the best, but he said, I think I can take him in a fight. That's what he told me yesterday morning during practice. And there you can see it in action. Great move.
Took him in traffic and then made the pass. Absolutely, as we're on board with Lee here. Watching that number 55 of Bomarito. Excuse me, yep, that is Bomarito. Oh no, the 88 into the wall.
Ashley Freiberg behind the wheel, taken over from Mark Kwame.
But they've done a nice job with the pit sequencing, and they were knocking on the door of a top 5 when this happened.
Ashley's been bouncing between 2 classes this year. She had a podium finish, let's not forget, with Turner Motorsports in the GTD class at Sebring earlier this year. We'll run the non-endurance events for Starworks with Mark in this 88 entry.
Popcorn Sutton machine, but that contact and where she is parked has us under our 3rd full course caution here at 44 minutes remaining. She's on board with Joel Miller. Currently sits 5th in the prototype class. Problem is, he's 8th overall right now, and he's got some very quick PC cars in front of him. So we're watching on board here. We're going to take a look now at what may have happened, but look way in the back of the frame at first. There you see that black car right in front of one of the GTD machines.
Just follow it in and just loses it on the bumps under braking. Not sure if something broke or whether she just lost control over the big bumps there. And again, there's so many different lines you can take down into this turn 7 brake area. And if you're on a different part of the racetrack to what you normally run, you can suddenly hit a massive bump that you're not expecting. So just conjecture at this time, but either way, huge damage to the left side.
Hey, Justin did a bit of foreshadowing, didn't he, when he did the open? As we've been watching what's going on in GT Daytona, out of the car that Lee Keen is now in is Cooper McNeil, right?
Yeah, you know, every time I come down here to talk to one of these guys, look at this. I mean, and he's not standing on anything. All right, so a Porsche's probably a good thing for you guys, but in all seriousness, around this racetrack, street circuits, the design of the 911 seems to really work. How important is it to have teammates like you have as well, running 2 cars on a weekend, transfer that information back and forth?
Yeah, it's huge. These Alex Job guys have been around for a long time, so they know these Porsches really well. Alex has run Porsches for about 28 years, I believe, so they got their heads wrapped around these rear-engine Porsches, and it's really good to have 2 cars on the team. We relay a lot of information between the 2, so we learn a lot from each other.
Bumps any better than they were last year?
Yeah, they actually seem to be worse than they were last year, and it's kind of tough in our Porsche, but we've got great shocks, great dampers, and Lee's out there right now doing a great job, so he's moving to the front.
Yeah, and the thing about these bumps, guys, it's hard on all the drivetrain. The 23 had a transmission problem yesterday, and you can relate it to those bumps, the car getting off the ground and then loading when it comes back.
Yeah, what Brian's relating to with the Porsche, you're driving well. You want traction off these low-speed corners, and that's what the Porsche has by having the engine in its configuration versus like the Viper.
And as we're under caution, we're going to pause one more time, folks, and we're going to come back, hopefully back to green, as we are looking at closing in on just under 42 minutes remaining.
Detroit's a tough place. It breeds tough people and perhaps even tougher car brands. I'm standing right behind what is left of the old Packard plant, long forgotten now, but the remnants still remain. Right next to me now is the Dodge Viper ACR. If anything signifies the true might of the Detroit car industry, this brand does, which is why it is the perfect chariot to take me from what Detroit was to what it is now. Okay then, a Dodge Viper in Detroit. What could be more perfect? The Viper in some ways shouldn't even be created, should it? Front engine, V10. This one's got over 600 horsepower. Who needs that? Well, maybe we need it as a car industry. Detroit was once incredible and successful, and then it went into the darkness. But right now, it's driving out of that darkness into a very bright future.
Well, guys, this is it, downtown Detroit. Certainly a city on the move. There's a sense of energy, optimism, and belief. And in large part, it's thanks to car companies like Dodge that this is even happening. They had the perseverance and faith in the great city of Detroit to take it into the future. Right now, that future is happening over on the island of Belle Isle. They certainly could be called the fastest streets in America this weekend.
No question about it, and that's a gentleman, Cal, with a pretty good history with Dodge Vipers.
He won a world championship with that brand, so great to see JB back behind the wheel of one of those iconic machines. Great stuff, JB.
It truly is. And speaking of great stuff, having a great run is the number 33 of Jerome Bleekemolen, and Ben Keating survived a lot, Brian, to put him there.
He did survive a lot, and obviously you're talking about Justin Bell, Viper. Ben Keating certainly knows about Vipers. You guys have always run well here. I don't know if I should even mention the bad luck that you guys have happened to finish a good finish here this weekend. How important is that to you guys?
Well, we're in Detroit, the birthplace of every street Viper ever built. They're all built right here. This is home. We're the only American-made car in the GT Daytona class. It's a big deal. We've got a bunch of people here from TI Automotive. We've got a bunch of people here from Dodge and from FCA. It's a huge deal. I mean, and I'm the #1 volume Viper dealer in the world. It's a big deal.
A big deal, but talk about big deals. You've got a big deal coming up too. You're leaving here very soon after the race. Where are you going?
Going over to Le Mans. You know, we finish here at 2:30 or so, and then at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we have a test day for the 24 hours of Le Mans. We're going straight from here over to Le Mans, and we'll be driving there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
These guys never quit, and it just shows what kind of world-class talent we have in this series. They're going to Le Mans to see if they can win it. We're about to go back to green here in Detroit.
Yeah, world-class passion, too. There's no question about that. As we're watching that beautiful machine. Cars starting to get ready to go green. And one of the things that we're going to show you is our Porsche news and notes. And Cal, we're going to show you that's 12 drivers, I think all but one. The race is not done when the checker flag flies here.
Well, the race at Le Mans is in a couple of weeks, but there's a big test day there tomorrow. And I think 11 of those 12 gentlemen that we're looking on screen who are competing here today will be making the trip overnight, some on a private plane, some commercially. So it's going to be a mad thrash. And you get to Paris and there's strikes going on. They've had some flooding, so it's going to be a race just to get to the circuit this weekend.
Absolutely. And the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship is well represented there because they got these 12 plus all of the GT Le Mans drivers that aren't here this weekend who are over there in full prep. It's going to be a spectacular event. You just saw there. You can watch it, of course, on FS1. And looking forward to that. And here we go. Restart time. Let's see if Barbosa can return the favor and sneak around Ricky Taylor here as we're coming up to green. Oh, problem in the back.
Yeah, that might be a cut
broken.
tire for Negri. Something is broken or something is wrong with the 60 shank machine. That is huge.
And Colin Braun's restarts in between Barbosa and Bomarito as Oz brings that car in. Right rear corner is down.
Team will go to work. Wonder if he brushed the concrete barrier. Catherine Legg said the car was incredible on the bumps. Maybe it's a broken suspension piece or something else amiss. Looks like that more than just a tire. They're taking the rear body work off, so they've got to do some fix there on that right rear corner. And this is Honda leading the manufacturer's chase coming into this weekend.
And a special effort made to get back to keep that championship run alive. And Oz, who was absolutely brilliant once he got to the lead at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca right now, has nothing he can do but sit and wait. Oh boy, they got the deck off, Cal. Big look at that right rear corner.
We're trying to assess what the exact damage is. Brian is there. What are you seeing, Brian?
Well, it's one of the suspension components. It's where the push rod comes into the rocker up top, and the bolt that goes down through the rocker and holds it onto the oil tank in the back. That section has come out, so the rocker is loose, and that allows the entire right rear suspension to move. So I don't know how that piece could even come out. The only idea that I have is how rough this racetrack is. It just loosens up everything.
Well, remember Catherine Legg said that on full tanks, you just hitting the deck, hitting the ground, and maybe that's the reason for that bolt coming adrift and causing this issue right now.
Cal, you talked about it too with the number of gear changes and the like. Every time you shift gears, there's that sudden change of load, and it happens on the bumps, then comes down. I mean, it just tortures these drive lines.
Oh, it's all about survival. Even a 100-minute race, we said 38 gear changes per lap approximately. It's just shy of 2,500 shifts that the car, the engine, the transmission, the suspension has to survive.
And Colin Brown, by the way, folks, he is flying.
Third overall.
I know. And driving away from the likes of Bomarito, Van de Zende, Miller. I mean, he is just an absolute man on a mission in these cars in general, but this is hugely impressive. But they have made, we understand, some changes to the electronics, the low-tech electronics on this car, Cal, and they said the traction control now, they can actually really use it.
Yeah, they can really dial it in. It was a bit too intrusive before, so when you're hitting these bumps, it was basically shutting the engine down, costing too much power. So they've gone to work, increased the range, and it seems to be working really well on a very important circuit for that to be operating at 100%.
Oh, and they need it too. As we talked about at the top of the show, what's going on with the points. And the guy that's chasing him right now is the number 55 of Jonathan Bomarito. But now it's time for our Mazda mid-race report. Let's get down to JB.
Well, Tristan, you came off the back of Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, where really you guys showed your flying colors for 2016. You come here, it's worlds apart in terms of track conditions. You're in all through practice, you have to sort of deal with what you got. And now you're in the middle of this race. How is your car? How is it going to perform to the end? You had a very strong stint.
Yeah, you know, it's just hard work from the engineers and the crew. You know, we didn't really have the pace as far as qualifying, and didn't show it in practice, but we do have a great race car. It's good through traffic, and it's good through a long stint. So I definitely showed it through mine. You know, it didn't let the top guys get too far away from me, and it was good through traffic. So, you know, we got a great race car. It's going to be interesting to see what we can do at the end.
And of course, there were mistakes throughout. Let's just say leaders' mistakes for the first time for Speed Source in this prototype for Mazda, and all the drivers to be at the front. The pressure of performance, I think, shook everybody, and they're not going to make the same mistakes twice. Your crew here just redeemed themselves on that pit stop.
No, absolutely. You know, it's kind of a blessing in disguise that, you know, as much as we wanted that win at Mazda Race with Laguna Seca, it's good it was in the middle of the season so we don't make that mistake again later on. So now you saw the pit stop. We didn't make any mistakes there. It was clean, perfect, and we're going to continue that momentum throughout the season. So just got to keep the momentum going, and, you know, these guys have been busting their tails, and it's such a relief to see you know, where we come and where we are now.
Perfect. And for anyone sitting at home, if you want to think about being a racing driver, to end up like Tristan Nunez is a pretty good way to go. And for old boys like Calvin and I, he's fast, he's good looking, he's just disgusting.
Yeah, it's really annoying at times, but what's annoying right now for the 85 squad is that Goikberg is now in the tires. He was offline coming down into that corner, so we're understanding he's not getting the fuel pickup. He's having to pit every 10-15 minutes. Of course, getting back to that story, we had to change the chassis right after the morning warm-up before the race today. They got out late, and that is causing a full caution here. Everyone's going to have to shut it down again to clear this 85 car. It will be a short caution. Pits will remain closed. And he just came into this corner a little bit offline. He's not in race rhythm, Greg.
Yeah,
he's just trying to survive, and I think he made a little mistake here. Maybe got on the bumps and just skated off the track.
And you wonder if he's not having some sort of fuel miss or something as well. And yeah, obviously huge distraction. And this now our fourth caution here, unfortunately, at the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic. So we're going to step away for just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody, and we are closing in on a restart here. About 25 minutes left to go when the green flags wave again here at the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic, presented by Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers. And already Jordan Taylor picking the pace up, but Joao Barbosa this time, Cal, a bit closer. I don't think it's close enough, but he wasn't about to be dropped like he was last time.
Boy, did Jordan Taylor go early. He gauged it on the previous restart as to where the pace car was, and Jordan just took off there. What a brilliant move in terms of taking the pressure off. You see the Whelen Corvette is back out there. Dane Cameron behind the wheel. Great effort to get that car back in the action. Colin Brown doesn't want to give it up. It's really not for position. Dane will be super frustrated. That car's been the fastest car here all weekend, but it's just getting points right now, getting mileage.
Yeah, Colin obviously wants the buffer back to Renger Van de Zende, who's proven to be pretty darn quick here. And if he can keep anybody between them. But the interesting thing for Dane is obviously he's looking for points, but there's so many laps back. You know, he doesn't really have to affect other class races at all, does he?
There'll be a certain point where they'll basically maybe park him just because they can't make it up in terms of the deficit to the next car in class. But you see in the 60 car, that's back out there. That's why they make the effort, because one of these other cars have a issue. Oh, that was wild. One of the PC cars locking up right in front of Osnegri.
Boy, what a story this is going to be if these guys can hang on and win this.
Well, for Jordan Taylor, what a record he has here.
Exactly.
One in GT competition, had 2 prototype victories. Until last year, they got a penalty right in this corner. And they trying to overtake, and there was Townsend Bell, and got into him, turned him, and got the penalty, a drive-through. That ruined their day, but they're very strong on the street. But I love Jordan Taylor. He's always thinking. He saw where the pace car was before, realized he could go a little bit early, and he tried to take advantage of that situation over Barbosa.
What a corner this is. That exit up and over that rise, you mistime it, it can be big. And look at Dane now, he wants by. And I get the feeling Colin was finally told, look, this is not for position, and he's aggressive, just let him go. But look at Colin, counter move it just a little bit.
Yeah, and that'd be Colin's team. Let him go. It's a faster car. You'll still be able to run your lap time. What you don't want to do is have someone who pass you and then slow you up. Right now, the 31 car should have more speed, even though it's a repaired car, not a car that's probably 100%. I'm sure they've ensured that it's safe. I want to put Dane out there in a car that may end up in the concrete wall again.
There goes Bomarito in the number 55, sitting right now 4th overall, 3rd in class as he sits in that number 55 Mazda. But Eric Kern, unfortunately, involved in that very early incident, Brian.
Down at Wheeling, Eric Kern out of the car, and, you know, I know you don't like to talk to me unless there's champagne and such spraying. That's not going to be the case today. But for you and Dane Cameron, how do you recoup? What do you focus on from this point in time on?
Well, it's a tough situation because, you know, we come in a 3-point lead, which is not a lot. Every point counts, and it's unfortunate that our Wheeling Engineering 31 Corvette was so fast here. We won here last year. We wanted to duplicate that again. We think we had a shot at it, and you know, the 90 car broke a wing off and pitched in the wall, and I just had nowhere to go. It's kind of disappointing, but it is what it is. We just got to keep moving forward. We got the car fixed. Dane's out there putting laps in. We're laps down, but I mean, every point counts, so it's not over yet. So other people could have trouble. We'll gather up some more points and move on to Watkins Glen, but just unfortunate to have such a fast car. All the Action Express guys working like crazy, and Wheeling Engineering car was so fast. We were P1 in a bunch of practices, and it's just disappointing, but it is what it is. You know, it's racing. It's I hate these days. I wish we were spraying champagne.
Yeah, he wishes they were spraying champagne, but like you said, collect every point that you can and look forward to the rest of the season.
Well, he's about 14 laps down on the 60 machine right now, and if you average it out 1.5 minutes a lap, well, that's 21 minutes, and that's always on the board, so they really need Osnegri to have some kind of issue. Otherwise, they're going to finish right now in the 6th position in class today.
Well, obviously every race individually is important, but they are but one cog in a season-long championship, and you got a big picture thinking every once in a while, and that's what these guys are great at. Boy, are we enjoying a superb battle at the front of GT Daytona, and it is still the number 33 Viper Exchange, Gas Monkey Garage Viper in the hands now of Jerome Bleekemolen, hanging on over the 73 Park Place Porsche of Jörg Bergmeister and the 63 Scuderia Corsa Ferrari of Alessandro Balzan. And that's those three. They are close, and Balzan able to run with just a couple of car lengths of Bergmeister.
Well, this Ferrari that's a brand new car, turbocharged engine, has really been sensational this year. Balzan, he's such a cool little character. I think he's a great teammate for Christina Nielsen this year in that Ferrari that runs in the 3rd position. But he's got a lot of talent in front of him. Jörg Bergmeister, so many championships over the years for Porsche, and Jerome Bleekemolen, one of the busiest and fastest GT drivers in the world.
You know, we were talking earlier about how effective the Porsches can be on these street circuits, but a lot of people in the paddock said they thought that Viper would be magic here. Huge torque coming off the tight corners, and a longer wheelbase helps big under braking on the bumps, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt when you got Jerome Bleekemolen behind the wheel as well. I mean, they've had success, they've won races together, but I think they're probably one of the teams that in some ways have underachieved, because when you look at the pace of the Viper and someone as a closer like Jerome Bleekemolen, as Brian said in the interview with Ben Keating, they just seem to have bad luck a lot more than anyone else. There's always good and bad luck in racing, but those guys seem to have been on the worst end of the stick over the last couple of seasons.
Here they come now into that very tricky turn 7. You can see the margin back there as Alex Riberas just appears, last year's winning machine.
All of these cautions,
Lewis and Lee Keen. Sorry, Cal.
Just to point out, all of these cautions have really helped those teams that pitted a little bit probably on the wrong side of their maximum fuel window. Remember, we saw these guys pitting, not this particular car, but some of the cars pitting before the 35-minute mark to take advantage of the strategy, and that was going to be a close call to make it on fuel. But once you run under caution, you get so much fuel saved, not an issue.
Just to let you know up front right now, Renger van der Zende has gone around Bomarito and now runs 4th overall. It's Braun and van der Zende 3rd and 4th. And Taylor now has a margin. It's less than a second over Barbosa, but this race is fabulous as Balzan looks to be starting to flip the attack mode switch.
Yeah, his car looks like it may have a little bit more pace.
Boy, that is a tough, tough day for the number 70, Cal. Twice now they have been given a penalty because of what is an overboost spike, and it's really bump-induced, isn't it?
It can be. I mean, certainly they've got to make sure that the teams are not running more boost than they're allowed with their balance of performance. But on a track like this, when you're hitting bumps and the wheels are spinning up in the air, it's very hard to control. So the only thing you can do is to bring the boost down enough that you've got enough cushion, enough margin when you get into that situation. Kind of saw the first time that happened with Bill Oberlin for BMW in the GTLM category a couple of rounds ago, where he got dinged for that. Look at Dane Cameron. He's got to be frustrated. He's catching these leaders right now in a repaired race car. Question of what might have been.
Oh boy, yeah, exactly. That's probably just to somewhat put some salve on the wound here of where they are, just to go out and run quickly at this stage.
Ran a 23.7, a 123.7. Fastest by the leaders today is a 124.3 and a 124.2. So half a second quicker.
Boy, Dane is absolutely flying. He's just quick everywhere, but he is so good on this type of track. Getting back real quick to that boost spike, it's milliseconds sometimes that it happens, but the rule is the rule. And, you know, you can be frustrated because you can go, I didn't gain anything. I was in the air bouncing around. Well, that's the rule.
It is. There's no margin. Otherwise, you just create a different limit. I mean, that's the limit. You got to be underneath it or right on it. But I tell you what's happening right now. Barbosa's car is coming in nicely on this longer run. Jordan Taylor's going to earn his money here this afternoon. The GM contracted driver, just like his brother, even though they run for their father's team. They are heavily supported by Konica Minolta and Chevrolet. And this is going to go down to the wire. Barbosa wants the big points. We talk about it. You want the prestige of winning here, but you want the gap in the points. Right now, I think these two teams will be tied at the end of the day. And Barbosa, Fittipaldi, they want the win.
Here's a look, folks, at our Continental Tire race recap. Class leaders currently, Taylor, Brown, and PC. Bleekemolen in GTD, 4 cautions, 3 lead changes, and only 1 car out as we ride on board with Jordan Taylor. And when they go to Le Mans, they're going to be teammates again, albeit in different cars. But interesting story for what's unfolding for them when they get to the Van Cador du Mans.
Dane Cameron lowers the fastest lap down to 123.1. Over a second quicker than the fastest laps by the 10 and the 5. But he's going to get stalled out here in a moment. I'm sure Action Express will make the call. Just stay put, Dane. Do not force the issue on Joao Barbosa, who's many laps ahead of you and going for the victory.
Boy, it kind of harkens back to the intensity of the battle last year, right here on the street circuit at Belle Isle. There are your class leaders. When we come back, we will take you to the checker flag.
There's always so much to see and do here at the IMSA WeatherTech races, and Corvette certainly know how to deliver on the entertainment. But we always want more, don't we? So here's your chance. You can register to win a 2016 Corvette Stingray Coupe, a limited edition IMSA signed Paul Reed Smith guitar, and a trip to the 2017 Rolex 24 at Daytona. Here's how you do it. Go to www.racetowincorvette.com, and the big prize might be yours.
Welcome back to the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic, where we have battles shaping up everywhere on the track. This, for Prototype Challenge, Renger van der Zende in that newly liveried StarWorks number 8 machine. Shows the nose, won it last year here, is super quick at this track, and he has run down Colin Brown.
He has, on a clear racetrack. He is faster right now than Colin Brown, and he is aggressive. He is dynamite behind the wheel of this. So we've got two of the very best in the business in this class. This is what it's all about, a shootout with just over 11 minutes to go.
Now you know why Colin was very aggressive in keeping DP cars and prototypes and the like behind him.
He's stretching him there, though, down this
Yeah,
back
he is.
straightaway. Maybe they're on a slightly different downforce configuration. Oh, Renger is literally sliding that car. Lost a bit of time there. Just threw it into turn 7.
Yeah, he's driving it like he's the one who's got less downforce and less drag on the car.
Coming off a huge race last weekend. The 24 Hours of Nürburgring just came up one spot shy. There's a lot of controversy. Mercedes finished 1-2. And there's a call that went out to the guy who was driving Renger's car. We're going to hold position, and the other guys didn't get the call and passed in the last few minutes of the race. So that was a wild one.
Well, so that maybe explains why he wants a win to get over that in a huge hurry. And what a battle they're putting on. Taylor still leads over Barbosa and the two Chevrolet Corvette DPs up front. And Bleekemolen hanging on over Bergmeister and Balzan. But that battle, those three covered by a half second. So we've got absolutely great racing here in all three of the classes of the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship.
Less than a second between all of the class battles right now for the lead. Doesn't get any tighter than that. This is maybe the biggest margin amongst all three classes right now that we're looking at on screen.
And here we go, our overall leaders in traffic. Jordan Taylor coming up on the back of one of the Turner BMW M6 machines, and Barbosa is right there. One mistake, and Barbosa's through, and Jordan, one of the smart drivers out there, certainly making sure he times it so he doesn't get hung up.
Oh, it's late. That's where they got the penalty last year on Townsend Bell. And we said, concrete decisions, be decisive. That was decisive.
Well, and you can see he laid back a little bit so that he could do exactly that and get a car between himself, and he did it again here. And Barbosa, that's just great racecraft.
It really is, and if you're the following driver, there's nothing you can do. You can't drive over the top of one of the slower class cars. Jordan getting a nice run here through traffic, but there's an ebb and flow to this. Dane Cameron there just shadowing these guys now, trying to see the checkered flag. He will not be a part of this picture, I would not believe.
Coming up through the group that's in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, etc. as he puts the pass on Lee Keen in the 22 WeatherTech car. We hop on board and watch Jordan drive by, coming up on the back of the Monster Energy Lamborghini of Corey Lewis.
Corey's done a great job teaming with Spencer
Really has.
Bumpelli. We talk about some of the driver pairings this year. So much strength. Not just your finisher, but also who you're paired with. That could really determine the championship in terms of not digging too big a hole for your amateur driver for then the pro to climb his way out of.
Well, you can just see the loads on these cars coming through that fountain turn. Setting up. Put the pass here on Andrew Davis. Look at the margin he's opened up in traffic. I mean, he is just stupendous when he gets into traffic.
He does. He's pretty cutthroat. You've got to establish yourself. You can't go halfway down the inside, get all the way alongside, then slow it down even more than you'd ideally like to. But the guy has to see you, establish yourself to the inside, and make sure that the traffic knows you're there.
It's going to be interesting now, though, when he and Barbosa make their way up into that lead group of Bleekemolen, Bergmeister, Balzan, and they're coming up on them in pretty short order here, and that's a furious battle. And those guys in those cars, you know, they'll let you go when it works for them, period.
Well, they've got a battle going down to the wire here with under 8 minutes to go. They can't afford to give away a few car lengths. There's a real rhythm to that as well. There's one thing about, we talk about rhythm in traffic for the faster cars. There's also a rhythm with the slower guys as well, Greg. The slower class cars in terms of determining where you want to give up some time and minimize the damage in terms of someone coming through on the inside.
There's your margin right now. Boy, huge to be able to do that. Now, here we go. They're coming up on the back of, I think that might be the number 70. And by the way, those of you wondering why the number 55 has dropped back, Bomarito suddenly running laps 2-3 seconds off the pace. I think because of those boost spike issues with the 70, they've told him to dial the boost way down on that car. They're third in class. That's huge points.
It is. It's a huge podium for Mazda here today, and we're now going to tracks where they should really shine. A lot of the teams tested at Watkins Glen over the last month with this new resurfacing there. They've just been mind blown by the pace around that track now, you can run the car so low, it's like a billiard table in terms of its smoothness, and that's where that Mazda P2 machine should really shine. They were very quick in testing, according to all reports, just a week ago.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see that stretch of racing play out here. Boy, it's going to be tough to beat the battles we're seeing right here. Now, Colin Brown has been able to open that margin up again over Renger. That may have been traffic induced. We'll see what kind of times. You wonder if Renger maybe used those Continentals up a little bit trying to get to Colin.
Yeah, that certainly could. He's definitely throwing it around, so you do have to manage it on a long green flag run like we're seeing right now. Renger just trying to clear this traffic. He just wants to keep the pressure on for when Colin Brown hits that next gaggle of GTD machinery.
Speaking of which, Taylor going by your GTD leader, Jerome Bleekemolen, as they get to turn 7.
Look at the gap now that Bleekemolen has established over Jörg Bergmeister and Balzan. He has gapped those guys big time.
Yeah, almost second and a half. When not long ago, it was a half second covering all of the top 3 in that class.
What a momentum builder it would be for Ben Keating, Jerome Bleekemolen, as they head to Le Mans. They're actually going to be paired with Mark Goossens in a P2 machine there, so look for that entry. Murphy prototype in a couple of weeks. They've got a strong driver lineup.
Barbosa, as we are coming up on 5.5 minutes to go, looks at a deficit right now. Officially, last time by was 0.7 of a second. It had ballooned up to more than that for a bit.
And you've got to think about the big picture as well. Yes, you want to win. You want to win here in front of the GM Top Brass and the Renaissance Center, but there's a big term of the championship. We're halfway through the championship, Greg, for the prototypes after this race, so it's game on.
And getting a report that Colin Brown has spun, apparently, and Renger van de Zande has gone around, picked up the lead in Prototype Challenge.
Wow,
and it happened
can you
over
believe
at
it?
turn 11. Yeah, that's just generally unheard of, isn't it?
What a season for these guys. We're leading at Daytona when they had the engine blow. They won at Sebring, got tipped at Long Beach. Let's take a look here.
Oh, boy.
Wow, that was strange. At the very tail end of that action happening, I'm sure if he was trying to just carry a lot of speed around the Fountain Turn to maybe look to the inside. As we mentioned, 35 points out of the lead coming into this race. They need every point possible. He's going to be on attack mode now. But I think that may be game over. Van der Zande's down the road.
Yeah, he is through and clear by a fairly large chunk.
That's where it happened, right there.
He was just, looked like it was turn 10. Look at the bumps. At turn 10, he was just trying to carry that speed because he'd already lost it by the time he got into 11. And we're seeing cars, they are absolutely dancing on knife edge through that entire, what they call fountain complex here.
Big bump there through the final turn as well. As they said, the bumps don't get any easier each year. They did resurface a couple of years ago, but it's like they kind of resurfaced over the bumps and actually made them worse in some areas. It's like they didn't fill the troughs out. Look at that little wiggle there by Van der Zande, our PC leader.
We're going to take a look from the onboard on the Magnus Audi here. Watch what happens here.
He's trying to clear the Turner. BMW gets really wide and just gets out in the gray. Van der Zande had been putting the pressure on, and Colin was pushing really hard. That's Marcus Paltala, who's really quick in that BMW this weekend. It wasn't going to be an easy one to get around.
Colin also grateful a driver of Andy Lally's caliber in the car that was that close behind him.
He got
read
lucky,
that
actually.
perfectly, yeah.
Got lucky not clouding the wall there.
Yeah, he did. So there's your margin at this stage, and it has gone now to 1.9 seconds.
I think for Barbosa, he may just be in protect mode.
Yep.
It's a big day, it's a big swing. By my reckoning, they should be tied with a 10 car in the points possibly here this evening with drama for the 31 and the 90.
Yeah, they came in, what, 3 adrift?
That's right.
So that's, yeah, absolutely, that's big.
And the 10 car came in 3 adrift of the 5 machine. 3-point delta between first and second place points for each race.
Yep, we're getting a report. We anticipate the white flag next time by here at Detroit's Belle Isle. And there's still some blue in those skies, so that's fortunate, certainly. We hope the rain holds off.
Remember last year?
Oh, boy, yeah.
It got crazy there as we got that deluge with everyone on slicks with just a couple of laps to go, and cars were literally claiming victory and sliding off the racetrack down in turn 1.
Checker wall. It wasn't pretty, that's for sure. Jordan Taylor up on the wheel right now in that Konica Minolta Wayne Taylor Racing Corvette DP. You know, since about 4 years now that these cars have raced here in Belle Isle, whether it was in the Grand Am Series or the new WeatherTech Series, and they have won. Corvette DPs have all 4 years, and looking to stretch that once again.
They had to make it happen here, as we said. We're going to racetracks now where the P2 Mazdas and the Honda will have a lot of strength with their handling. 1 lap to go for Jordan Taylor.
This is a tricky corner here to the exit over the rise.
Unique about this street circuit, there's some really high-speed sections, Greg.
There's Renger. He's got that margin there. You can see Colin Brown in the background. So Renger has a nice bit of real estate.
Yeah, no pressure here. He's just got to be smooth. Colin's too far back to really be thinking about catching him on this final lap, so he's just got to be patient here in traffic. Peter Barron is a master in terms of talking his drivers around this racetrack. Look at this closing up. Bergmeister is closed in on Bleekemolen.
Yeah, they've driven away from Balzan and the rest of the field. I don't know, Cal. It's just about a second, it looks like.
Good news is the overall leader is ahead of them, so they're also on their final lap like Jordan Taylor.
Ooh, little wiggle there for Jordan. He's in the zone right now, just throwing the laps down. Just a few more corners to go into 12, 13, almost a double apex. Just a moment you straighten the wheel. Here we go, onto the front straight. 1 more turn to go. For the 5th straight year, Chevrolet wins at the Motor City. The Corvette DPs 5 years in a row for them to come through here and keep the streak alive. What a story, Cal.
Well, we see the door opening. Maybe just waving to the crowd here. Maybe there's some GM employees in that stand, but let's not forget Jordan Taylor was not feeling well in the earlier part of this weekend. I think with the cautions, should have taken the pressure off. Here's the leader in GTD.
How about this? At Belle Isle, in Detroit, Detroit Muscle wins GT Daytona Dodge, and the Viper bring it home with a win. And right there, Renger van de Zende wins in Prototype Challenge. What a story in all 3 classes. We'll hear from our winners when we come back. It is celebration time on Belle Isle here at the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic, presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers. Wayne Taylor has climbed into the driver's door of that Wayne Taylor Racing Konica Minolta Corvette DP to enjoy a short ride down into Victory Circle, and it all came as a result of our Audi move of the race, Cal. What a beauty.
Well, it was a restart. They were stuck in traffic, and watch this move by Jordan Taylor. You see a little wiggle there by Barbosa. He's trying to find grip. Jordan Taylor to the outside of traffic and takes the lead. He would never relinquish.
That is the rim shot extraordinaire right there, man. Absolutely phenomenal, and just drove away. Barbosa able to get close at a couple of points, but it was all down to that Audi move of the race. Here are our BMW race results. There's your top 2, and again, we've talked about the points implications here. What a drive by Van der Zende at the end, and Alex Popov, another great run here in Detroit, and then Bleekemolen. Some Detroit Iron, some Detroit Muscle winning here. That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge, and big momentum for that team. There you see Wayne Taylor. He is pumped for his partners, and to win here in Detroit for GM, that is what it's all about.
Oh, man, they absolutely love it. That's why they're here. And you saw Brian Till on the scene, waiting for Jordan to step out of the car. Brian, what a celebration this should be.
Oh, it is going to be a celebration. There's so many positives as Jordan gets his gear off. There's so many positives. Obviously, with the problem with the 31 car, they're going to move up well into the championship. That's important. You win here in Detroit in front of Chevrolet. That's important. And Jordan, not to be outdone by the move that your brother put on at the start. That was impressive there on the restart.
Yeah, I knew it was kind of our only shot to get the lead, so I saw him go to the inside, and there was a hole on the outside, so I went for it, and thankfully we made it, and from there we just kind of set sail, and we were able to maintain good track position and go from there.
Huge, huge win, and they have become the street masters here at Wayne Taylor Racing. 3 of the last 4 here in Detroit, 6 of the last 8 on the streets.
Yeah, and Jordan Taylor throw in a Rolex GT win a few years ago. Pretty impressive stuff. But we were talking about the excitement in GT Daytona. Justin, I think it's just about to continue.
Well, he virtually sprung out of the car. Jerome Bulliet-Molen, what a run you had. What a great way to prepare for Le Mans. A win.
Yeah, unbelievable. The guys won it today, really. I mean, the pit stop moved us forward. And then I had Jörg behind me. We know he's one of the best guys out there. He has many famous finishes in the last lap, so I knew I had to push all the way, and we did, so really happy.
And, of course, Ben Keating did an opening stint there, guys, that set them up for that victory.
Absolutely, he did. Ben always solid in that car, knows what he's got in the quiver. But now let's get down to Brian Till with, I'll tell you, a great drive through the pack.
Yeah, Ringer Van de Zande, what a great drive through the pack. You guys have been on the podium the last 3 races in a row. You get your first win of the season. What was going through your mind when you saw Colin have that problem?
I mean, holy crap, it was a big chase down. I was flying. I was really, when the tires got in, we chased him down all the way to the back, but it's so hard to overtake here. So into traffic, I just called Peter on the radio. You know how we are on the radio. I said him, sing me a song on the radio and we're gonna go for it. But at the end, he made a little mistake. He went wide, he went off, and I was gonna get him anyway, I think, but he helped me for sure.
He was definitely hungry. A great win for Starworks and both Alex Popov and Ringer Van de Zande.
Yeah, they defended their win there, obviously, from last year. Oh, yeah, get well soon, Andrew. It's Andrew Palmer. Everybody thinking about Andrew had that big warm-up wreck at Lime Rock Park last weekend. But there's the story. What an amazing continuation of the run, not just for this team, but for Chevrolet and the Corvette DP at this venue.
Well, it's such an important event being here in the Motor City, and for the championship, they needed to win. Honda are going to be strong at the next round. We saw Mazda today in the fold as well. They're going to be tough at the next rounds of this championship. But for the guys who represent GM, they realize you got to get maximum points when you can. This was the golden opportunity today, and they took advantage.
No question. You saw the graphic. We're in our Le Mans break, but when that ends, Watkins Glen next, newly repaved Cal. I know that a couple of the drivers, Richard Westbrook, who tested there, said, I think some people are going to be shocked at the speed they're going to see there.
It's unbelievable. The grip is just simply amazing. It's a superb job. They've got great management there at Watkins Glen. Everyone's excited about going.
And, of course, you can watch Le Mans, the 24 hours, the legendary race, June 18th on FS1, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time is where it and when it will start. Make sure you tune in for that. This amazing month of tremendous racing continues, and it's an absolute treat to be able to bring you this remarkable race from Belle Isle, the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic. For Brian, for Justin, and for Cal, I'm Greg Creamer. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next from Watkins Glen. Make sure you tune in. We look forward to bringing it to you. Take care, everybody.